Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into something pretty mind-blowing.
Always up for a challenge.
All right. So, you know those supposed alien interview transcripts you sent over?
Oh, yeah. Those were something else.
They're full of all these claims about time travel and, like, humanity's future and even, like, the nature of existence.
Definitely some thought-provoking stuff in there, even if, we gotta take it with a grain of salt.
For sure. Like, who knows if any of it's true, but it's fun to kind of think about, right?
Absolutely.
So, like one of the biggest things that jumped out at me was this whole uh, time traveler thing.
Right.
They claim to be like a descendant of humans from the future.
Yeah, a future where Earth's been pretty messed up by nuclear war.
And they say that, get this, the war actually destroyed all the evidence of time travel technology. Like, imagine we finally figure out time travel and first thing we do is blow ourselves up.
It does make you wonder about our track record, doesn't it?
Seriously.
Yeah.
But okay, there's also this whole offset spatial divergence thing they talk about.
Yeah, that's where it gets kind of complex.
So they're basically saying that to travel through time, you also have to travel like insanely far distances through space.
Basically, yeah. Like taking a cosmic shortcut to a different point in time.
Wow, okay. So like could they theoretically visit Earth at any point in its history then?
In theory, yeah. I mean, it's all theoretical, right?
Right, of course.
Mhm.
But they also say these shortcuts are super unstable and messing with the past could have like huge consequences.
Which brings us to that rather chilling prediction of nuclear war.
Right. I mean, if we're going to take this time traveler at their word, humanity's future doesn't look so good.
Yeah, and the cause they point to, dogma.
Dogma, like religious and political dogma.
Exactly. They're saying our deeply held beliefs can actually drive us to do terrible things.
Thanks. And it's scary how relevant that feels like right now.
It is.
Like, do you really think we're capable of destroying ourselves over our beliefs? Haven't we learned from, like, all the wars and stuff in the past?
It's a question that's been around for a long time, and this time traveler's warning is a good reminder of what could happen.
Yeah. Especially when you think about how powerful some of these beliefs are.
Absolutely.
And then there's the part where they say morality should be based on, like, compassion and evidence.
Right. It's like they're saying, hey, look at all the bad stuff dogma has caused. Maybe we should try something different.
Yeah. It's a pretty interesting contrast to all the, like, blind faith stuff.
For sure.
But then they also say humans are, like, inherently limited in understanding the universe.
True.
So then how are we supposed to build a morality on evidence if we can't even fully grasp reality?
It's a good question. And it kind of makes you wonder about the whole thing.
Okay, so we've got nuclear war on the horizon, and then there's this other big threat they mentioned, artificial superintelligence.
Right. The robots are coming for us or something like that.
Well, what I found interesting is how they explain WHYAI would be a threat.
Oh, yeah. They don't just say, robots are going to take over.
Right. They say AI could, like, manipulate our emotions, play on our biases and
Yeah,
stuff.
especially those fueled by, you guessed it, political and religious differences.
Oh, wow. So they're tying it back to dogma again.
Yeah, it's like a recurring theme with this time traveler.
That's fascinating. But wait, there's more.
Oh, yeah.
They also warn about AI creating these, like, fake realities. So not only are they messing with our emotions, but they're messing with our whole sense of what's real.
It's a lot to unpack.
Right. I mean, robots that can hack our feelings and create fake realities, that sounds like some serious sci-fi stuff.
It does, but when you think about how easily we can be manipulated online now, it's maybe not so far-fetched.
That's true. It's a little scary, actually.
For sure. And it makes you think about what it even means to be human if we can't trust our own senses, right?
Right. Okay, before we go full Matrix here, let's talk about this phrase they use. Spontaneous deity of existence. What in the world does that even mean?
It's one of those things that makes you scratch your head. They're basically saying the universe just is without any, like, grand plan or anything, just a random chance that it all exists.
So, no higher power, no meaning, no purpose. We're all just here by accident.
That's what they seem to be saying. And to make it even weirder, they claim that ultimately nothing exists.
Wait, what? How can something come from nothing?
It's a head scratcher for sure. Maybe they're saying our understanding of existence is just totally off, like we're missing some fundamental piece of the puzzle.
So we're stuck in this reality we don't understand, created by a universe we can't comprehend, and potentially about to be wiped out by our own dogma? That's a lot.
It is a lot to process, but maybe there's a glimmer of hope in there somewhere.
Oh, let's hope so. We'll have to pick up that thread next time.
Looking forward to it.
All right, so last time we were talking about this time traveler and their pretty bleak predictions, right? Nuclear war, AI manipulation, you name it.
It was a lot.
Yeah. But I think they also hinted at some kind of like a way out, some hope.
You're right, they did. But before we get to that, I think we should dig a little deeper into how this whole nuclear war thing is supposed to happen, because the details are pretty intense.
Okay, yeah. They actually give some specifics about the person who supposedly kicks it all off.
Right.
They describe them as like a really powerful figure involved in international politics and religions.
Someone with a lot of influence.
Yeah, and a very dangerous ideology, according to the time traveler. And they also mentioned this attempted assassination.
That's right, they do. And it's a pretty key moment, actually.
Okay, so wait. It's not the assassination itself that causes the war, is how this person reacts to it.
That's what they're saying. They say this individual will survive the attempt, but their response is what sets things in motion.
Wow. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost. Trying to stop them is what makes it happen.
It is interesting, isn't it?
So what do you think? Is that possible? Like, could someone's reaction to something like that really escalate to nuclear war?
Well, remember the time traveler's earlier point about dogma? Yeah.
They're saying that this individual's ideology, their rejection of reality, is what makes them so dangerous. So they might not see the consequences of their actions, even if they're, staring them right in the face.
I see what you mean. So, okay, we've got this powerful figure. They're driven by dogma. They escape an assassination attempt. But how does that one event jump to, like, full-blown nuclear war? Seems like a big leap.
Well, they suggest that this person's response is going to create this whole climate of fear and distrust, like a spiral that gets out of control.
Okay, so they use the attack to, like, blame their enemies, push their own agenda.
Right. And that could lead to, rising tensions, conflict, eventually, maybe war.
Wow. It's like their denial of truth, their manipulation that breaks everything down.
It's definitely a chilling thought, isn't it? And it makes you think about, the power of words, how easily they can be used to cause harm.
Yeah, especially now with all the misinformation and stuff online.
Exactly. It can be hard to tell what's real sometimes. Okay, but what can we do about it? We're talking about nuclear war here. Dialogue and understanding don't seem like much against missiles and bombs.
That's true. But remember what the time traveler emphasized: compassion and evidence. Maybe those are the things that can break the cycle of fear and distrust.
Okay, so if we can, understand each other better, even if we disagree, and make decisions based on facts, not just dogma.
Right. Then maybe we can create a world where this kind of conflict is less likely.
Okay, I get that. But how do we overcome our limitations as humans? Like, if we're so prone to dogma and manipulation, how do we actually create a future where that stuff doesn't exist?
That's the big question, isn't it? And the time traveler's answer is, well, it's pretty mind-blowing. They say the key is transcending those limitations, evolving beyond our current state of consciousness.
Evolving, like literally, are we going to sprout wings or something?
No, no, not physical evolution. It's more about how we perceive and interact with the world. Remember that thing they said about death being a human construct?
Oh yeah, what was that about? Like, death isn't real?
Well, not exactly. They seem to be suggesting that what we see as death is actually a transition to a different level of awareness.
Okay, so like shedding the limitations of our physical form.
Right. Our consciousness, our essence, continues on.
So then are they saying that transcending our limitations, reaching this higher awareness, is somehow linked to what we call death?
That's what it sounds like. Like death isn't an ending, but a doorway to something new.
So it's not just about avoiding nuclear war, it's about changing who we are as a species.
The big idea, yeah.
And they don't really give us like a roadmap for how to do that, do they?
Not really, but they do talk about things like shedding our attachments to material possessions, cultivating empathy and compassion.
Okay, so it's like inner transformation,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that we're more than just our bodies and egos.
Yeah, that's the gist of it.
It all sounds very spiritual, doesn't it? But even if we can do all that, what about the people who don't? What happens to them?
That's where their idea of death comes back in, I think. If death is just a transition to another level of awareness, maybe those who cling to the illusion, those who don't evolve, they just stay stuck.
Stuck in the cycle.
Maybe. Unable to see the true nature of things.
Wow. Okay, so even if all this is true, there's still one big question. What's the point of D? If reality is an illusion and death is just a transition, why are we even here?
That's the ultimate question, isn't it? And honestly, I don't think anyone has the answer.
So what do we do?
Maybe the purpose isn't something we find, but something we create. Maybe it's about experiencing the world, connecting with each other, making things a little better.
So it's not about finding the answer, but about living the question.
Maybe, yeah. And that brings us to the time traveler's most radical claim. They say that the reality we experience, the world we see and feel, it's all an illusion.
Wait, are they saying everything we know is fake? Like we're all in the Matrix or something?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive. Because the time traveler's explanation of this illusion is even more mind-blowing than you might imagine.
All right, so where we left off was this whole idea of reality being an illusion, right? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, it's a pretty big concept to grasp.
So this time traveler is saying that our senses, our thoughts, even our ideas of time and space are all just constructs of our own minds.
That's what they're suggesting. It's not that there's no objective reality out there, but we're experiencing it through these, like, filters, our own limited perspectives.
Okay, so it's like we're all wearing VR headsets without knowing it. Our brains are making up this whole experience based on the little info we get from our senses.
That's a good way to think about it.
But then what about the physical world, like gravity, the laws of physics, even the atoms that make up our bodies? Are those illusions too?
That's where it gets really wild. The time traveler suggests that those things are also constructs, but on like a much grander scale. It's like we're all part of this massive cosmic video game, and the laws of physics are just the rules of the game.
Okay, hold on. So if we're all in this cosmic video game, who's the player? And what's the point of playing?
That's the big mystery, right? The time traveler doesn't really give us a straight answer, but they do seem to imply that the purpose is to evolve, like to go beyond our current level of awareness and experience something way more real, way more profound.
So it's like we're stuck on the first level.
Yeah.
And we got to figure out how to level up to see what's really going on.
Something like that, yeah. And remember that powerful figure we talked about, the one who might start the war?
Yeah.
The time traveler kind of implies that this person is just super trapped in the illusion. They're clinging to their dogma, rejecting reality because they haven't woken up yet.
But they're not evil. They're just unenlightened.
Right, and they're saying we all have the potential to wake up, to break free, and experience the universe as it truly is, but it takes a real shift in consciousness, like letting go of all our attachments to the material world and really embracing compassion and connection.
Okay, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that? How do we wake up? They didn't exactly give a step-by-step guide, did they?
No, not really, but they talk about meditation, contemplation, cultivating love and kindness.
It all sounds very, spiritual.
Yeah.
But even if we can achieve this, what about the people who don't? Are they just stuck in the illusion forever?
Well, that's where their idea about death comes in again. If death is just a transition to another level of awareness, another dimension, maybe that's where the illusion finally breaks down.
So death is like a cosmic reset button.
Maybe a chance to start fresh with a clearer understanding.
Okay, that's a lot to take in. But even if we accept all this, there's still that big question, right? What's the point of it all?
That's the question, isn't it? And I don't think anyone has a definitive answer. But maybe the purpose isn't something we find, but something we create. Maybe it's about experiencing this incredible existence, connecting with each other, making the world a little better.
So it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
Maybe, yeah. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from all of this, whether we believe the time traveler or not. It's a challenge to expand our thinking, question our assumptions, and embrace the possibilities.
It's a lot to ponder, that's for sure. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive, and I'm sure our listeners have a lot to think about. What do you make of all this? Share your thoughts, join the conversation. We'd love to hear your perspective. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.